There is a moment, a very specific moment, when everything you thought was ordinary suddenly begins to feel different. Not dramatically at first, not loudly, but subtly, quietly, almost like a whisper brushing against your spirit that you can't quite explain. And somehow you found yourself here, not by accident, not by scrolling aimlessly, but by divine interruption. He watches you even now, not with judgment but with deep, unwavering awareness. And in this moment, Archangel Michael stands at the edge of your reality, not stepping in to disturb your peace, but to reveal that what you thought was peace may have only been preparation. Because something is about to change. You felt it, haven't you? That unexplainable tension in your chest, that strange shift in your thoughts, away certain things that once made sense no longer feel aligned. The way conversations have started to feel heavier, emptier. The way your patience is thinning for things you used to tolerate. You trying to brush it off. You told yourself it's just stress, just a phase, just overthinking. But what if it's not? What if that feeling, that persistent nudge, is actually a signal? A signal that this week is not like the others. A signal that something unseen has already begun moving. Because long before your mind catches up, your spirit already knows. There are moments when heaven does not wait for permission. Moments when divine timing interrupts your routine because what's coming cannot be delayed any longer. And this right now is one of those moments. He speaks, not loudly, but with authority that shakes what is hidden beneath the surface. You were not meant to ignore this. And suddenly, everything slows. Because this isn't just another message. This is alignment calling your name. Think about it. How many times have you almost ignored something important? How many times have you felt a pull, a quiet voice saying pay attention, and you dismissed it because life was too busy, too loud, too distracting? But this time something stopped you. Something held your attention just a little longer. Something told you, stay. And that's where the shift begins. Because when heaven repeats itself, it's not by coincidence. It's by design. There is a reason this message found you before the week unfolds completely. A reason it reached you before certain conversations happen, before certain decisions are made, before certain truths come to the surface. You are being positioned, not randomly but intentionally. And here's what most people don't realize. When a major shift is coming, it never announces itself with clarity at first. It begins with discomfort, with confusion, with subtle misalignment, with a feeling that something is off even when everything looks fine on the outside. That's where you are right now, on the edge of something. Something you can't fully see yet, but you can feel. And that feeling is not meant to scare you. It's meant to prepare you. Because Archangel Michael does not step forward without purpose. He does not interrupt your path without reason. And he does not bring warning without protection already in place. So if your heart is beating a little differently right now, if your focus feels sharper, if your spirit feels alert in a way you can't explain, pay attention. Because this is the moment where everything begins to shift. This is the moment where the ordinary starts to crack and the unseen begins to reveal itself. And this week will not pass quietly. Something is already in motion. And you were chosen to be aware of it first. So do not ignore this feeling. Do not brush this aside. Because the fact that you are here right now reading this means the shift has already begun. And what happens next depends on how you respond. Type I am ready in the comments if you feel this message stirring your spirit. Blessing code 1010 is now activated around your path. There are movements that happen long before they are visible. Movements that do not announce themselves with noise, but with subtle pressure. And right now, whether you fully understand it or not, you are standing in the middle of one of those movements. The shift has already begun. On tomorrow, not later this week. It has already started, and the evidence of it is not around you first, it is within you. He sees the way your thoughts have been changing. He sees how certain things no longer satisfy you the way they once did. Even the routines you used to follow without question now feel heavier, slower, almost out of place. That is not confusion. That is transition. Archangel Michael reveals that when the spiritual realm begins to shift, it does not immediately rearrange your external world. It begins by stirring your internal one. It starts by disrupting your comfort, by pulling you out of autopilot, by making you aware that something deeper is unfolding beneath the surface. You may have noticed how your emotions have been fluctuating in ways that feel unfamiliar. Moments of clarity followed by moments of doubt. A sense of peace that appears suddenly, then fades just as quickly. This is not instability. This is alignment being recalibrated. Because when heaven initiates movement, it first clears what no longer belongs. It shakes loose what hath been quietly attached to your spirit without your awareness. It begins to separate what is true from what is merely familiar. And here is where many misunderstand the process. They think that when things feel uncertain, something is wrong. But Michael speaks with authority. Nothing is wrong. Something is shifting. The discomfort you feel is not a sign of loss. It is a sign of repositioning. You are being moved, adjusted, prepared for something that requires a different version of you than the one that existed before this week began. There is also something else you cannot ignore. The patterns around you have started to change. Conversations are not flowing the same way. Certain people feel distant even if they are physically close. Opportunity that once seemed certain now feel delayed or uncertain. This is not coincidence. This is spiritual movement influencing physical reality. Because when the unseen realm shifts, it begins to echo into your daily life in ways that seem subtle at first but become undeniable over time. Archangel Michael reveals that there are forces of alignment and forces of resistance both active right now. The alignment is pulling you forward, guiding you toward clarity, truth, and purpose. The resistance is trying to keep you where you were, comfortable but stagnant, familiar but limited. And this tension you feel is the space between those two forces. It is the space where choice begins to matter more than ever before. You are not being left to figure this out alone. You are being guided, even if that guidance does not always feel obvious. That sudden thought that tells you to pause before speaking, that inner hesitation before making a decision, that quiet instinct that says something is off. These are not random. These are signals. These are the ways the shift communicates with you before it fully reveals itself around you. But here is the critical truth you must understand. Once a shift begins, it does not reverse. It continues forward. The only question is whether you move with it or resist it. And resistance does not always look like refusal. Sometimes it looks like distraction. Sometimes it looks like overthinking. Sometimes it looks like returning to what feels safe even when you know it no longer fits who you are becoming. Michael stands firm in this moment, not to push you, but to make you aware. This week carries movement that cannot be ignored. What is unfolding is not random change. It is directed transformation. The things being adjusted around you are not being taken away without purpose. They are being repositioned to align with something greater that is approaching. And this is why awareness matters now more than ever. Because when the shift is subtle, only those who are attentive recognize it early. Only those who are present understand what is happening before it becomes obvious to everyone else. And you have been given that awareness first. So pay attention to what feels different. Pay attention to what feels out of place. Pay attention to what no longer aligns, even if it once did. Because these are not inconveniences. These are indicators. Indicators that the spiritual realm has already begun moving pieces into place. And as this movement continues, it will become clearer. What is hidden will start to reveal itself. What is uncertain will begin to make sense. But for now, you are in the early stage, the stage where awareness is your greatest strength. Do not rush to understand everything at once. Do not force clarity before it arrives. Stay still. Stay observant. Stay aligned with what you feel rather than what you assume. Because the shift is not asking you to control it. It is asking you to recognize it. Something has already started, and you are no longer where you were, even if it looks the same on the surface. You are in motion now, and this motion is leading somewhere significant. Type "I trust the shift" in the comments if you feel this movement within you. Blessing code 2020 is now surrounding your path. There are battles that happen in plain sight, and then there are battles that remain hidden until the exact moment you are strong enough to recognize them. What you are experiencing right now belongs to the second kind. This is not something that just began this week. This has been building quietly, layer by layer, behind the scenes of your life. And now, as the shift continues to unfold, what was hidden is beginning to rise to the surface. You may have sensed it long before you could explain it. The subtle resistance in situations that should have been simple. The way certain plans seem to stall without clear reason. The feeling that something was slightly off, even when everything appeared normal. You tried to rationalize it. You told yourself it was timing, coincidence or circumstance. But Archangel Michael reveals that what you have been feeling is not random. It is the presence of a hidden battle that has been surrounding your path. This battle is not always loud or obvious, and does not always come in the form of direct confrontation. More often, it moves through confusion, misalignment, and subtle interference. It shows up as delays that don't make sense, as misunderstandings that seem unnecessary, as emotional weight that appears without clear cause. And because it is subtle, it is easy to overlook. It is easy to dismiss. But it is no less real. What is happening now is exposure. Not exposure meant to overwhelm you, but exposure meant to empower you. Because you cannot move freely through something you do not recognize. You cannot overcome what you continue to ignore. And this is why this moment matters. The shift that has already begun is now pulling back the layers, revealing what has been operating quietly in the background of your life. You are starting to see patterns more clearly. You are noticing behaviors, conversations, and situations in a different light. Things that once seemed normal are now raising questions in your spirit. This is not overthinking. This is awareness sharpening. This is your perception aligning with truth rather than assumption. Archangel Michael stands in this moment not just as a protector, but as a revealer. His role is not only to guard you from what you see, but to bring clarity to what you could not see before. And what he is revealing now is that not everything around you has been aligned with your growth. Not every influence has supported your direction. Not every connection has carried the same intention as your purpose. This does not mean you are surrounded by negativity. It means you are stepping into a higher level of discernment. Because as you move closer to what is meant for you, anything that does not align with that path becomes more visible. The contrast becomes sharper. The difference becomes undeniable. There is also something deeper taking place. The hidden battle is not only external. It has also touched your internal world. The doubts that have surfaced at unexpected times. The moments where you questioned your own instincts. The hesitation that appeared when you were about to move forward, these were not signs of weakness. They were points of pressure within the battle. And now, as the exposure continues, those points are losing their hold. You are beginning to separate what is yours from what is not. You are recognizing which thoughts belong to your truth and which ones were influenced by confusion. This clarity is not arriving all at once, but it is building steadily. And with each realization, you are regaining ground that was quietly taken from you without your awareness. Michael makes it clear that this exposure is necessary before the next phase can fully unfold. Because what is coming requires clarity. It requires you to move without hesitation, without distraction, without the weight of hidden interference. And that can only happen when the unseen becomes seen. Do not be alarmed by what you begin to notice. Do not feel overwhelmed by the realizations that come forward. This is not happening to destabilize you. It is happening to strengthen your position. Because once you see clearly, you cannot be misled in the same way again. There is a reason this exposure is happening now, before the week fully unfolds. It is preparation. It is alignment. It is ensuring that you step into what is coming with awareness rather than uncertainty. The hidden battle is losing its advantage because it is no longer hidden. And as this continues, you will find that your responses begin to change. You will no longer react the way you once did. You will no longer engage with the same patterns. You will move differently, speak differently, choose differently. Not because you are forcing change, but because clarity naturally leads to transformation. This is the moment where confusion begins to dissolve. This is the moment where truth begins to take its place. And this is the moment where the hidden battle starts to lose its hold over your path. Stay aware. Stay grounded. Stay aligned with what is being revealed to you. Because what you are seeing now is only the beginning of a greater clarity that is still unfolding. Type ISE clearly now in the comments if this revelation resonates within you. Blessing code 3030 is now activated around your awareness. As this truth settles into your spirit, understand this: every moment of clarity you receive is not just for you alone. It is a light meant to reach others who are still walking through confusion, still searching for direction, still waiting for a sign. When you choose to support this mission through Super Thanks or through the PayPal link in the description, you are not simply giving. You are sowing light into places where darkness has lingered too long. The word declares that what you sow in faith returns in abundance, and this moment is your opportunity to step into that living promise. If you feel that stirring within you, that quiet pull to act, do not delay it. This is your moment to participate in something greater than yourself. Your generosity becomes a river that carries truth into the lives of those who need it most. Step forward now, release your seed, and allow heaven to multiply what flows through your hands. There are moments when guidance feels gentle, almost like a quiet suggestion. And then there are moments when guidance becomes unmistakable, firm, direct, impossible to ignore. This is one of those moments, because now, the presence that has been observing, revealing, and preparing you steps forward with clarity. Archangel Michael is no longer simply watching the shift unfold. He is speaking into it. And what he brings is not fear, but warning rooted in protection. He does not raise his voice, yet everything within you becomes still when his message reaches your spirit. It is not loud, but it carries weight. The kind of weight that makes you pause, reflect, and listen with full attention. Because what he is saying now is not optional awareness. It is necessary instruction for what is about to unfold next. Stay alert. Be still. Be ready. These words are not symbolic. They are precise. They are intentional. And they arrive at this exact moment because the shift you are experiencing is entering a more active phase. What was once subtle is becoming more defined. What was once hidden is becoming more visible. And with that visibility comes the need for discernment at a level you may not have needed before. You are being asked to stay alert, not in fear, but in awareness. Because not everything that appears in front of you this week will be as it seems. Situations may present themselves with urgency. Conversations may arise that seem important, even pressing. Decisions may feel like they need immediate action. But Michael's warning is clear. Not everything requires your reaction. Not everything deserves your energy. There is a difference between movement and misdirection. And this week, that difference will matter more than ever. This is why he says, be still. Stillness is not inactivity. It is control. It is the ability to pause before responding, to observe before engaging, to understand before deciding. Because in moments of rapid change, it is easy to be pulled into reacting instead of responding. It is easy to be influenced by the urgency of others rather than the clarity within yourself. Michael is guiding you away from that pattern. He is reminding you that clarity does not come from rushing. It comes from grounding yourself in awareness. It comes from trusting the shift that is already in motion rather than trying to control its outcome. There is also a deeper layer to this warning. You are being prepared for interaction. Interaction with people, situations, or opportunities that may test your awareness. Some of these will appear familiar. Some may even feel comfortable at first. But beneath the surface, they carry energy that does not align with where you are being led. This does not mean you must withdraw from everything. It means you must observe everything more closely. Pay attention to how things feel, not just how they appear. Pay attention to what is said, but also to what is not said. Pay attention to the tone, the timing, the intention behind actions. Because these details will reveal more than the surface ever could. Michael's presence in this moment is not passive, is protective. He stands not just as a messenger, but as a guardian, ensuring that what is meant for you reaches you without distortion. But protection does not remove your responsibility. It enhances your awareness so you can move wisely within what is unfolding. Be ready. This final part of the warning carries its own significance. Readiness is not about preparation for something negative. It is about preparation for something significant. Because when a shift reaches this stage, it begins to present opportunities as well as challenges, and both require the same level of awareness. Opportunities may not always look obvious at first. They may come disguised as changes you did not expect. They may require you to step outside of what feels familiar. They may ask you to trust your instinct over external validation. And if you are not ready, you may overlook them or hesitate when the moment requires action. At the same time, challenges may arise that test your clarity. They may try to pull you back into old patterns, old reactions, old ways of thinking. And if you are not grounded, it becomes easy to fall back into what you have already outgrown. This is why Michael's warning is precise. Stay alert so you can recognize what is real. Be still so you can respond with clarity. Be ready so you can move when the moment arrives. You are not being left to navigate this blindly. You are being guided step by step. But guidance requires awareness. It requires presence. It requires your willingness to trust what you feel even when it is not fully explained yet. This week is not ordinary. And the warning you are receiving now is not casual. It is the difference between moving through the shift with confusion or moving through it with clarity. You are being positioned to move with precision, not reaction. To move with understanding, not assumption. To move with purpose, not pressure. And as you hold on to this awareness, you will begin to notice something change. The way you respond will feel different. The way you observe will feel sharper. The way you decide will feel more certain. Because you are no longer moving unconsciously. You are moving with guidance. Type "I move with clarity" in the comments if you are ready to follow this guidance. Lesson code 4040 is now active around your decisions. There are weeks that pass quietly, blending into routine, leaving little trace behind them. And then there are weeks that carry weight, not because of what you can see immediately, but because of what they hold beneath the surface. This is one of those weeks. It is not just another sequence of days. It is a window, a turning point, a moment in time where alignment, awareness, and decision begin to shape what comes next in a way that cannot be reversed once it unfolds. You may not have recognized it at first. The week may have started like any other. The same responsibilities, the same patterns, the same expectations. But something within you already knew it was different. That quiet tension you felt at the beginning was not random. It was recognition. Your spirit responding to timing that your mind had not yet caught up with. Archangel Michael reveals that not all time carries the same energy. Some periods are neutral, meant for rest, reflection, or continuation. But other periods are charged with movement. They are marked for transition. And when those moments arrive, they bring with them a kind of intensity that cannot be ignored, even if it is not immediately understood. This week has been marked for exposure, as you have already begun to experience. Marked for awareness, as your perception continues to sharpen. But more than that, it is marked for decision. Because what you choose to do, how you choose to respond, and where you choose to direct your energy during this time will influence the direction of what unfolds next. There is a reason this warning did not come before now, and there is a reason it could not wait any longer. Because the window you are in does not remain open indefinitely. It moves forward. It progresses. And once it passes, it does not return in the same form. This is why everything feels heightened. Emotions feel stronger. Thoughts feel more persistent. Situations feel more significant than they normally would. It is not because things have suddenly become more complicated. It is because your awareness has increased, and the timing itself is amplifying everything you experience. Michael makes it clear that this amplification is intentional. It is designed to make what matters stand out from what does not. It is designed to bring clarity to what have been uncertain. It is designed to force attention toward what can no longer be ignored. You may find that small decisions feel heavier than usual. That is because they are no longer small in this moment. You may notice that certain interactions leave a stronger impression. That is because they are revealing more than just the surface. You may feel a stronger pull towards certain actions or away from certain situations. That is because alignment is becoming more precise. This is not the time to move casually. It is not the time to act out of habit or convenience. Because what may seem like routine actions now carry deeper impact. They are connected to the shift that is unfolding, and they contribute to how you move through it. There is also something else that makes this week different. It is not only about what is being revealed or decided. It is also about what is being positioned. Behind what you can see, there are movements taking place that you are not fully aware of yet. Pieces are being arranged. Outcomes are being set into motion. And your role within this is not passive. You are part of this alignment. The choices you make are not isolated. They connect to what is being arranged around you. They either support the direction of the shift or create resistance within it. And this is why awareness matters now more than ever. Because without awareness, it becomes easy to act in ways that do not align with what is unfolding. Michael's presence in this moment is not to pressure you, but to steady you, to remind you that even though this week carries weight, it also carries guidance. You are not expected to navigate it perfectly, but you are expected to remain aware, to remain present, to remain aligned with what you feel rather than what you assume. There may be moments where you feel uncertain about what to do. In those moments, return to stillness. Do not force decisions simply because time is moving. Let clarity form before you act, because clarity is available to you, but it requires patience to receive it fully. At the same time, there will be moments where the path forward feels clear. When that clarity arrives, do not hesitate. Do not overanalyze what you already understand, because hesitation in moments of clarity can create unnecessary delay. This balance between stillness and action is what defines this week. Knowing when to pause and when to move. Knowing when to observe and when to decide. And trusting that both are part of the same process. You are not in an ordinary moment. You are in a marked period of transition. And how you move through it will shape more than just the immediate outcome. It will influence what comes next, what becomes available to you, and how you step into the next phase that is already forming. This is why this week matters, not because it demands perfection, but because it requires awareness. And as you continue through it, you will begin to see more clearly why everything had to unfold the way it is now. Type "I honor this moment" in the comments if you recognize the significance of this week. Blessing code 5050 is now aligning your timing. There comes a point in every shift where it is no longer just about what is happening within you, but about who is around you. Because as your awareness rises, your environment begins to reveal itself in ways it never has before. And right now, this is where your attention is being drawn. Not to create fear, not to make you suspicious of everyone, but to awaken a level of discernment that you cannot afford to ignore in this moment. You have already begun to notice it. The way certain interactions feel different even if the words have not changed. The way some people seem slightly out of sync with you, even if they are behaving the same on the surface. There is a subtle shift in energy, in tone, in presence. And while it may be easy to dismiss it as overthinking, Archangel Michael makes it clear. This is not imagination. This is perception sharpening. Not everyone around you is moving in the same direction as you. Not everyone is aligned with what is unfolding in your life right now. And this does not mean they are intentionally working against you. It simply means that their path and your path are no longer matching in the way they once did. And when that misalignment occurs, it creates friction. It creates confusion. It creates moments where you feel unsure about how to engage, how to respond, how to interpret what you are experiencing. This is where discernment becomes essential. Discernment is not judgment. It is not about labeling people as good or bad. It is about recognizing what aligns with your direction and what does not. It is about understanding the difference between connection and compatibility. Because someone can be familiar to you, even close to you, and still not be aligned with where you are being led now. Michael speaks with clarity in this moment. Pay attention to how people make you feel after interaction, not just during it. Pay attention to whether your energy feels clearer or heavier. Pay attention to whether conversations bring clarity or confusion. Because these are indicators. These are signals that reveal alignment more accurately than words ever could. There will be moments this week where you are tested in this area. Situations where you are pulled into conversations that do not feel right. Moments where you are asked to engage in ways that do not sit well within you. And the challenge will not always be obvious. It will be subtle. It will feel like a small decision, a simple response, a casual interaction. But within that moment, your discernment will be activated. You may feel the urge to go along with something just to maintain peace. You may feel the pressure to respond quickly to avoid discomfort. But Michael's warning from before still stands. Not everything requires your reaction. And in this section, that warning becomes even more specific. Not every interaction deserves your full participation. There is also something deeper happening beneath these interactions. As your awareness rises, it naturally begins to expose differences that were previously overlooked. Differences in intention, in mindset, in direction. And while these differences may not have mattered before, they matter now because of the shift you are in. You are no longer operating from the same level of awareness you were before. And because of that, what once felt normal may now feel out of place. This does not mean you must immediately distance yourself from everyone who feels different. It means you must become conscious of how you engage and where you invest your energy. Some people will reveal themselves through their actions. Others will reveal themselves through subtle patterns. The way they respond when you set boundaries. The way they react when you do not engage in the same way you used to. The way they handle your growth, your change, your clarity. These reactions are not random. They are reflections of alignment or misalignment. Michael stands firm in reminding you that your responsibility is not to change others. Your responsibility is to remain aligned with what you are being guided toward. And sometimes, that alignment requires distance. Not necessarily physical distance, but energetic distance. A shift in how much you share, how much you engage, how much you allow certain influences to affect your decisions. This is not isolation. It is refinement. Because as the shift continues, your environment will naturally adjust. Some connections will strengthen. Others will fade. And this is not something you need to force. It will happen as a result of your awareness and your choices within it. And trust what you feel, even if you cannot fully explain it, even if it does not make logical sense at first, because your discernment is not based solely on logic. It is based on alignment, and alignment is something your spirit recognizes before your mind understands. You are being guided to move differently now, to observe more, react less, and choose your engagement with intention rather than habit. Because the people around you are part of the shift, whether through support or through contrast, and both serve a purpose. Stay aware of who brings clarity and who brings confusion. Stay aware of what strengthens your focus and what disrupts it, because these distinctions will become more important as the week continues to unfold. You are not being asked to withdraw. You are being asked to see clearly. Type "I choose discernment" in the comments if you are ready to trust what you feel. Blessing code 6060 is now strengthening your awareness. There is always a moment, just before something shifts in a major way, where everything feels uncertain. Not because things are falling apart, but because they are being rearranged. And within that rearrangement comes a test. Not a test designed to break you, but one designed to reveal whether you are ready to move into what is next. This is the moment you are entering now. You may have already started to feel the pressure of it. A situation that challenges your patience. A conversation that pulls at your emotions. A decision that feels heavier than it should. These moments may seem small on the surface, but they carry weight because they are connected to something larger. They are not random interruptions. They are intentional points of reflection. Archangel Michael reveals that the test before a breakthrough is rarely obvious. It does not come labeled as a test. It comes disguised as a normal moment, an everyday situation, a simple choice. And within that moment, you are faced with a decision to respond as you always have, or to respond from the awareness you have now gained. This is where everything becomes clear, because the test is not about what happens to you. It is about how you respond to it. It is about whether you fall back into patterns that feel familiar or step forward into alignment that feels new. It is about whether you react from habit or respond with intention. You may feel pulled in two directions during this time. One direction leads back to what is known, what is comfortable, what requires no change. The other leads forward into something unfamiliar, something that requires trust, something that asks you to act differently than before. And the tension you feel between these two directions is the test itself. Michael speaks with precision in this moment. Do not underestimate small decisions, because what seems small now carries weight in the direction of your path. The way you handle a conversation, the way you choose to respond to pressure, the way you manage your emotions in a challenging moment. These are not isolated actions. They are indicators of alignment. You are not being asked to be perfect. You are being asked to be aware. There may be a moment where you feel misunderstood, a moment where you are tempted to explain yourself, to defend your position, to engage in something that drains your energy. In that moment, pause, because the test is not whether you can prove your point. The test is whether you can maintain your alignment without being pulled into unnecessary conflict. There may be a moment where something feels urgent, demanding your immediate attention or reaction. In that moment, remember what has already been revealed. Not everything requires your reaction. The test is whether you can remain still even when pressure is applied. There may also be a moment where you are given an opportunity, something that seems beneficial on the surface, but does not fully align with what you feel internally. In that moment, the test is whether you trust your discernment or ignore it for convenience. These moments are not here to confuse you. They are here to confirm you. Because when you respond differently than you once would have, you are not just passing a test. You are demonstrating readiness. You are showing that you have integrated the awareness that has been building within you. You are proving, not to others, but to yourself, that you are no longer operating from the same level as before. And this is why the breakthrough follows the test. Not because you have earned it through effort, but because you have aligned with it through awareness. The breakthrough is not separate from the test. It is connected to it. It is unlocked through the way you move within these moments. Michael stands present during this phase, not to intervene in every situation, but to observe your alignment, to ensure that you are supported as you move through it. But the choices remain yours. The responses remain yours. And within those responses, your direction becomes clear. Do not be discouraged if the test feels uncomfortable. Discomfort is often the sign that you are stepping beyond what you have known. It is the sign that you are no longer settling into patterns that no longer serve you. It is the sign that growth is active. And as you move through this, you will begin to notice something shift within you. A greater sense of control over your reactions. A clearer understanding of what aligns and what does not. A stronger trust in your own awareness. This is the purpose of the test. It is not to delay you. It is to prepare you. Because what is coming next requires this level of clarity, this level of control, this level of alignment. And once you move through this phase, you will not return to where you were. You will step forward with a different perspective, a different presence, a different way of moving through your environment. The breakthrough is not far, but this moment matters. Stay aware. Stay grounded. Stay aligned with what you have already been shown. Type "I pass the test" in the comments if you are ready to move forward with clarity. Blessing code 7070 is now strengthening your path forward. There are moments in life when you focus so deeply on what is coming next that you overlook what is quietly being taken away. But in this phase, what is being removed is just as important as what is being prepared. Because before anything new can fully take its place, space must be created. And that space is being created right now, even if it does not yet make complete sense to you. You may have already begun to notice it. Certain connections feel less active. Certain habits feel harder to maintain. Certain routines that once felt automatic now feel forced, almost unnatural. This is not loss in the way you might initially interpret it. This is release. This is the clearing of what no longer aligns with where you are being guided. Archangel Michael reveals that removal is often misunderstood because it does not always feel comfortable. When something leaves your life, even if it was not fully aligned, there can still be a sense of disruption. There can be questions. There can be moments where you wonder whether you should hold on a little longer, try a little harder, or return to what feels familiar. But this is where awareness becomes essential again. Because what is being removed is not random. It is precise. It is intentional. It is aligned with the shift that is already in motion. There are patterns that can no longer continue with you. Patterns of thinking that kept you limited. Patterns of behavior that kept you reacting instead of responding. Patterns of engagement that drained your energy without contributing to your growth. These patterns are not sustainable within the alignment you are stepping into. And so they are being loosened, weakened, and gradually released. There are also influences that are being reduced, not always completely removed at once, but distanced. Interactions that once felt constant may begin to decrease. Communication that once felt frequent may become less necessary. This is not always about conflict or separation. Sometimes it is simply about adjustment. A natural shifting of how much access something or someone has to your time, your energy, and your focus. Michael stands firm in this moment to remind you that you do not need to force these removals. You do not need to create dramatic changes or abrupt endings. The shift itself is already doing the work. What you are being asked to do is recognize it and allow it. Because resistance in this phase often comes from attachment. Not always attachment to what is best for you, but attachment to what is familiar. And familiarity can be powerful. It can make you question whether letting go is the right decision, even when you know something no longer fits. You may find yourself revisiting certain thoughts, wondering if you should reconnect, re-engage, or return to something that feels like it is fading. In those moments, pause. Ask yourself not what feels comfortable, but what feels aligned. Because comfort and alignment are not always the same. What is aligned will feel steady, even if it is new. What is no longer aligned will feel forced, even if it is familiar. There is also a deeper layer to this removal. It is not only external. It is internal. Old ways of seeing yourself are being released. Old definitions of what you believed you could or could not do are being challenged. Limitations that once felt fixed are beginning to loosen their hold. You may notice that you are thinking differently, questioning things you once accepted without hesitation, seeing possibilities where you once saw obstacles. This is part of the same process, because as your external environment adjusts, your internal perspective must also shift to match the new alignment. This is not always a smooth process. There may be moments where you feel in between, not fully connected to what was, but not fully settled into what is coming. This space can feel uncertain, but it is necessary. It is the space where transformation completes itself. Michael reassures you that nothing meant for you is being taken away. What is being removed is what could not move forward with you. What is being released is what would have limited what is about to unfold. Trust this process, even when it feels unclear. Trust that what is leaving is making room for something that requires that space. Trust that the shift knows exactly what it is doing, even when you cannot yet see the full picture. As this continues, you will begin to feel lighter, more focused, less pulled in multiple directions. Because when what is unnecessary is removed, clarity naturally increases. You are not losing. You are being refined. And as this refinement continues, you will find that what remains feels stronger, more aligned, more connected to where you are being led. Allow what is leaving to leave. Do not hold on to it out of habit. Do not chase it out of comfort. Let it go with awareness, knowing that its role in your path has reached its completion. Because what is coming next requires this space. Type "I release what no longer serves me" in the comments if you are ready to let go. Blessing code 8080 is now clearing your path. As you release what no longer serves you, understand that every act of letting go creates space not only in your life, but in the lives of others who are still searching for clarity. When you choose to support this mission through Super Thanks or the PayPal link in the description, you are not simply giving. You are planting seeds into hearts that are still waiting for truth to reach them. The Word declares that those who sow in faith will reap in abundance, and this is your moment to step into that living promise. If something within you is stirring right now, do not ignore it. This is not just generosity. This is alignment in action. Your support becomes a channel through which light flows into others, breaking confusion and restoring direction. Step forward now, release your seed, and watch how heaven multiplies what you have sown. There is a moment in every journey where what once felt distant begins to move closer, where what once felt blocked begins to open, and where what once felt delayed suddenly reveals that it was never denied. You are standing in that moment now. The blessing that seemed out of reach, the breakthrough that felt postponed, the shift you have been waiting for, it is no longer far away. It is approaching, and the signs of its nearness are already surrounding you. You may not see it fully yet, but you can feel it. A subtle sense of anticipation, that quiet expectation building within you. It is not imagined. It is recognition. Your spirit responding to something that is drawing near, even before your physical reality reflects it. Archangel Michael reveals that delays are rarely what they appear to be. What you interpreted as waiting was often preparation. What you thought was blockage was often protection. Because not everything can arrive the moment you desire it. Some things require alignment. Alignment within you, alignment around you, and alignment within timing itself. And now, that alignment is beginning to come together. Think about the moments where you almost reached what you were seeking, only for something to shift unexpectedly. The times when doors seemed ready to open, but then paused without explanation. Those moments were not failures. They were adjustments. They were ensuring that when the blessing arrived, it would not only reach you but remain with you in a way that could not be easily disrupted. This is why the delay had purpose. Because what is coming now is not temporary. It is not unstable. It is not something that will appear briefly and disappear. It is something that is meant to settle into your life with strength, with clarity, with permanence. But here is where awareness becomes important again. Just because something is near does not mean it arrives automatically. There is a moment of recognition that must happen. A moment where you see it for what it is, rather than overlook it because it does not appear exactly as you expected. Blessings do not always arrive in the form you imagined. Sometimes they come through change rather than comfort. Sometimes they come through unexpected opportunities rather than planned outcomes. Sometimes they appear as something new that requires you to step forward rather than remain where you are. This is why preparation hath been necessary. Because if you were not prepared, you might dismiss what is meant for you simply because it does not match your expectations. You might hesitate at the very moment where action is required. You might question something that is actually aligned with your path. Michael makes it clear that the blessing is not something you need to chase. It is something you need to recognize. And recognition comes from awareness, from clarity, from the very shift that has been unfolding within you. You are not the same as you were before this week began. Your perception is sharper. Your understanding is deeper. Your ability to discern what aligns and what does not has increased. And it is this version of you that is ready to receive what is approaching. There may be a moment soon where something presents itself, and it feels different from what you are used to. It may feel unfamiliar, even slightly uncomfortable at first. But beneath that unfamiliarity, there will be a sense of alignment. A sense that this is something worth paying attention to. Do not ignore that feeling. Because the blessing does not always announce itself clearly. Sometimes it arrives quietly, waiting for you to notice it, to step toward it, to accept it. There is also something else you must understand. The nearness of a blessing often creates a final moment of contrast. A moment where what is leaving becomes more noticeable, and what is coming is not fully arrived yet. This can create a sense of uncertainty, a feeling of being in between. But this space is temporary. It is the space between preparation and arrival, between alignment and manifestation. And while it may feel uncertain, it is actually confirmation that movement is taking place. Michael stands firm in reminding you that you are not waiting anymore in the way you once were. You are transitioning. You are moving from one phase into another. And the closer you get to the transition, the more aware you will become of what is approaching. Stay grounded in this awareness. Do not rush the process. Do not force outcomes. Allow what is coming to reach you in its intended timing. Because what has been delayed is no longer being held back. It is being released. And when it arrives, you will understand why it could not come sooner. You will see how every adjustment, every moment of waiting, every shift you experienced was leading to this point. You are not behind. You are right on time. And what is near now will soon become real. Type "I receive what is coming" in the comments if you are ready for this blessing. Blessing code 9090 is now activating your breakthrough. There comes a defining moment in every shift where awareness alone is no longer enough. A moment where what you know must be matched by what you do. And this is where you stand now. Because everything that has been revealed to you, everything you have felt, everything you have begun to understand is leading to one central truth. Your role in this moment requires obedience, not comfort. This is not about control. This is not about forcing outcomes. It is about alignment in action. Because it is one thing to recognize what is shifting, but it is another thing entirely to move in agreement with that shift. And that movement often requires stepping beyond what feels easy, beyond what feels familiar, beyond what feels safe. You may already feel this tension within you. The part of you that understands what needs to change, and the part of you that hesitates because change is uncomfortable. This tension is not weakness. It is awareness meeting decision. It is the moment where you are no longer unaware, and therefore can no longer remain passive. Archangel Michael speaks clearly here. What you choose now matters more than what you feel. Because feelings will often pull you toward comfort. They will encourage you to stay where things are predictable, where you know how things will unfold, where you do not have to stretch beyond your current state. But alignment does not always exist in comfort. Alignment often exists in movement, in action, in stepping forward even when you do not have every answer yet. There may be something specific you already know you need to do. A decision you have been postponing. A boundary you have been hesitant to set. A step you have been avoiding because it requires courage. This is where obedience becomes real. Obedience is not about perfection. It is about response. It is about choosing to act in alignment with what has been revealed to you, even when that action feels unfamiliar. It is about trusting that what you have been shown is enough to move forward, even if you cannot yet see the full outcome. Michael does not ask you to understand everything before you act. He asks you to trust what has already been made clear. There will be moments where comfort will try to pull you back. It will remind you of what is easy, what is known, what requires less effort. It will question whether change is necessary, whether action is required, whether waiting just a little longer might be better. But you must recognize this for what it is. It is hesitation disguised as safety. Because what is truly aligned with you now may not feel as comfortable as what you are used to. It may require you to think differently, respond differently, engage differently. It may require you to release something you once held onto, or to step into something you once avoided. This is the point where many people pause, where they feel the shift, recognize the opportunity, but hesitate to act. And in that hesitation, they delay what could have already begun. You are being guided away from that delay. Michael stands firm in this moment, not to push you forcefully, but to remind you that you are ready. Not because everything is perfect, but because you have been prepared through everything you have already experienced. You are not being asked to take reckless action. You are being asked to take aligned action. There is a difference. Aligned action feels steady, even if it feels new. It carries a sense of certainty beneath the surface, even if your mind questions it. It does not rely on external validation. It comes from within, from the awareness that has been building inside you throughout this entire shift. And when you act from that place, something changes. You move from observation to participation, from awareness to alignment, from preparation to activation. This is your role now. To move when clarity is present, to pause when stillness is required, to trust what you feel even when it challenges what you are used to. Because comfort will always keep you where you are, but obedience will move you to where you are meant to be. And what is meant for you cannot fully arrive if you remain where you have already outgrown. This is not about pressure. It is about timing. The window you are in requires response. It requires your willingness to step into what has already been prepared for you. And as you do, you will begin to notice something shift within you again. A stronger sense of confidence, a clearer sense of direction, a deeper trust in your own awareness. Because action reinforces alignment, and alignment leads to movement. You are not standing still anymore. You are being called forward. Type "I choose alignment over comfort" in the comments if you are ready to move forward. Blessing code 1010X is now activating your next step. There is always a moment when what has been building beneath the surface begins to show itself in a way you can no longer ignore. A moment when the shift moves from internal awareness into external confirmation. And this is where you are now approaching. Because this week will not pass without a sign, not a random event, not a coincidence, but a clear indication that what has been unfolding is real, active, and already shaping your path forward. The sign will not necessarily arrive in a dramatic or obvious way. In fact, it is often the opposite. It comes through something simple, something easy to overlook if you are not paying attention. That is why awareness has been emphasized so strongly throughout this message. Because recognition is what separates those who see the sign from those who miss it. You may notice a sudden shift in a situation that previously felt stuck. Something that had no movement may suddenly begin to change. A conversation that felt distant may take a new direction. A delay that seemed indefinite may begin to resolve itself. These are not isolated moments. These are indicators. Indicators that the alignment is taking hold in your external reality. Archangel Michael reveals that the sign is not meant to confuse you. It is meant to confirm you. It will align with what you have already been feeling internally. It will connect to something that has been on your mind, something you have been questioning, something you have been sensing but could not fully validate. And when it appears, there will be a moment of recognition, a moment where you pause and realize that what you have been feeling is now showing itself clearly. This is important because doubt often tries to remain present even after awareness has been established. You may question whether what you are sensing is accurate. You may hesitate to trust what you feel because it has not yet been fully confirmed. But the sign removes that hesitation. It bridges the gap between feeling and knowing. However, there is something you must understand about this sign. It does not come to make the decision for you. It comes to strengthen your clarity so that you can make the decision yourself. This is where your role becomes active again. You may receive confirmation about a situation, but you will still need to choose how to respond to it. You may see something clearly, but you will still need to decide what action to take. The sign does not replace your responsibility. It enhances your awareness so that your response is aligned. There may also be a moment where the sign challenges what you expected. It may not arrive in the form you imagined. It may not confirm things in the way you assumed. But this does not mean it is not valid. It simply means you must look beyond expectation and focus on alignment. Pay attention to patterns this week. When something appears more than once, it is not random. It is reinforcement. It is the shift making itself known in a way that cannot be ignored. You may also notice a heightened sense of intuition, a stronger awareness of what feels right and what does not. This is also part of the sign. It is not always external. Sometimes it is internal clarity that becomes so strong it no longer feels uncertain. Michael stands present in this moment to remind you that you are not being left without guidance. The sign is part of that guidance. It is a checkpoint within the shift, a moment where you can recognize that you are aligned with what is unfolding. But recognition requires stillness. If you move too quickly, if you react without observing, if you allow distraction to take your focus, you may overlook what is being shown to you. And that is why you have been guided to slow down, to pay attention, to remain present. Because the sign will not force itself into your awareness. It will appear, and it will require your attention to be seen clearly. There is also a deeper layer to this. The sign is not only about confirming the shift. It is about building your trust in your own perception. Because once you recognize it, once you see how what you felt internally is reflected externally, your confidence in your awareness increases. And that confidence is necessary for what comes next. You are being prepared to move forward with less doubt, less hesitation, less reliance on external validation. And the sign is part of that preparation. When it appears, do not dismiss it. Do not question it unnecessarily. Acknowledge it. Reflect on it. Allow it to guide your next step. Because this week is not just about awareness. It is about confirmation. And that confirmation is closer than you think. Type "I recognize the sign" in the comments if you are ready to see clearly. Blessing code 1111X is now activating confirmation around your path. There is a moment when everything you have felt, everything you have seen, everything you have been guided through begins to come together with clarity. Not partial clarity, not uncertainty, but a deep, grounded knowing that something has shifted and that you are no longer standing where you once were. This is that moment. This is the activation point. You have moved through awareness. You have recognized the shift. You have seen what is being removed. You have felt the nearness of what is coming. You have been tested, refined, and guided. And now, there is one final step, not a step of observation, but a step of embodiment. This is where you stop preparing and start becoming. Archangel Michael stands firm, not as a distant voice, but as a presence that has walked with you through every part of this shift. And now his message is clear. It is time to step fully into your new season. Not partially, not cautiously, but with the understanding that you are no longer who you were when this began. You may still feel traces of the old patterns. Moments where doubt tries to return. Moments where familiarity calls you back. But these are not signs that you are still there. They are echoes, remnants of what has already been released. And they no longer have the authority they once did, because something within you has changed. You are thinking differently. You are seeing differently. You are responding differently. And this is not temporary. This is transformation taking root. This is what activation looks like. It is not a sudden external event that changes everything overnight. It is an internal shift that becomes so stable, so clear, so aligned that your external reality begins to follow it naturally. You do not force it. You do not chase it. You embody it. And from that embodiment, everything else begins to align. Michael makes it clear that this is not the end of the journey. It is the beginning of a new phase. A phase where you no longer move from confusion, but from clarity. Where you no longer react from habit, but respond from awareness. Where you no longer question your direction constantly, but trust the alignment that has been built within you. There will still be moments of challenge, moments where you are required to stay grounded in what you have learned. But those moments will not carry the same weight as before, because now you have the awareness to move through them without losing your direction. This is what makes this moment powerful. You are no longer waiting for something to happen to you. You are stepping into something that is already happening through you. And as you step into this new season, you will begin to notice changes that confirm this activation. Opportunities that feel aligned rather than forced. Connections that feel supportive rather than draining. Decisions that feel clear rather than confusing. These are not coincidences. They are the result of alignment. There is also a responsibility that comes with this activation. Not a burden, but a responsibility to maintain the awareness you have gained. To continue choosing alignment over comfort. To continue trusting what you feel even when it challenges what you once believed. Because the shift does not end here. It continues through how you live, how you choose, how you move forward. You are not returning to what was. You are stepping into what is becoming. And this becoming requires your presence, your awareness, your willingness to stay aligned even when the world around you moves differently. Michael stands with assurance in this final moment, reminding you that you are not alone in this. The same guidance that brought you here will continue with you. The same awareness that awakened within you will remain available to you. But now, it is yours to carry. Step into this fully. Do not hesitate. Do not second guess what has already been made clear. Trust that you are ready, because you would not have reached this moment otherwise. This is your activation. This is your transition. This is your new season. And it begins now. Type "I step into my NEW season" in the comments if you receive this activation. Blessing code 1212X is now sealing your transformation. As you step into this new season, hear this truth deeply. Every step you take in alignment becomes a light that guides someone else out of darkness. This is not about supporting a channel. This is about fueling a divine mission that reaches souls who are still waiting for this very moment of awakening. The Lord declares, "Give, and it shall be given unto you." And this is not just a verse. It is a living promise unfolding through your obedience right now. I feel the pull within me to act, to become a vessel through which this message continues to reach those who need it most. When you sow through Super Thanks or through the PayPal link in the description or QR code on your screen, you are planting into a harvest of transformation, into lives being restored in real time. Do not delay this moment, because your giving is not a donation. It is a prophetic act that unlocks greater flow in your own life. As you release, heaven responds. Step forward now, sow boldly, and watch the overflow that follows your obedience.